Welcome to Sense of Style. I'm Stuart. I started collecting 5 years ago, and when I did start collecting, I went straight to old school because I don't know if you've noticed, I'm a little bit older than some of the other reviewers here on YouTube. So I have a ton of old school fragrances. I've had them for a really long time. I've had a chance to test them in a variety of different situations. And so what I'm going to do today is I've got 15 fragrances. That's almost double what I normally have. Are they pleasant? How do they compare to the original formula? Because a lot of these, I've tried what you can get now, and I've tried what you used to be able to get, so I can tell you. And then finally, how do the fragrances fit into the modern fragrance landscape? It's going to be a long video. Let's get to it. Fragrance number 1 is Jean-Paul Gaultier's Le Male. This came out in 1995, and this is going to be the most modern fragrance that I'm going to talk about. 30 years old. So everything is at least 30 years old, but this fragrance really does fit into what's going on today because it's got so much vanilla. It turned the entire fragrance industry on its head back in 95 when it came out. Things that were popular back then were fresh, masculine fragrances, things like Cool Water from Davidoff, the original Acqua di Gio. This is a gourmand. And I mean, it was so outside the box, but it sold really well. And I think it's responsible, partially anyway, for what we're wearing these days. So it's mint, lavender, cinnamon, and the aforementioned vanilla. My bottle is 10 years old. I get 12 hours performance. I've tried some of the newer bottles. I've tried a bottle from 5 years ago. Not quite 12 hours, more like 8 hours. Still plenty of performance. I think in terms of the fragrance aesthetic, fits in today, the performance fits in today. The only problem you've got really is that familiarity thing. They didn't want to go with this bottle. The marketing team at Jean-Paul Gaultier were like, no, that's going to offend a lot of conservatives. Jean-Paul Gaultier himself fought for it. He won, and now they've put over 150 different fragrances in this torso bottle shape. It's iconic now. Fragrance number 2 is Green Irish Tweed from Creed, and this came out in 1985, and this was a revolutionary fragrance. They figured out that using tons of violet leaf and lemon verbena created this real freshness. It was essentially the violet leaf used in that amount that really made the difference. That was a note that was hardly ever used, and they threw a ton of it at it. It created this ultra fresh scent that then carried on into Davidoff Cool Water, and then even fabric softeners these days use that scent. So it's a very familiar scent to an awful lot of people, but the difference here is quality. This is kind of like Cool Water in a tuxedo. It's all dressed up, so you're going to get the violet leaf, you're going to get the lemon verbena, you're going to get iris, and you're going to get some ambergris. Really good performance, lasts a lot longer than Cool Water. When it comes to whether this fits into the modern aesthetic, I think it does. I really do. If they made a fragrance like this today, there's nothing inherently old about it. It doesn't have a lot of leather. It doesn't have a lot of those old school aromatic notes that make it smell like a barber shop. Familiarity, definitely a problem. A lot of people are going to think that you're wearing Cool Water, which is not great, but that could very well happen. Fragrance number 3 is Calvin Klein's Eternity. This came out in 1990, and I've never ever heard of the success of a handful of fragrances saving an entire fashion house. But that is exactly what happened with Eternity for Men, Eternity for Women, and CK1 in the early 90s. The massive success of those 3 fragrances saved Calvin Klein from going out of business. Fragrances were meant to be a sideline. They were not meant to be the major financial driver, but in the early 90s, this was something of a phenomenon. It's actually a very pleasant scent. I tried it for the first time in quite a while. It's a citrus aromatic with an interesting floral kick. Florals were not big for men back then. So you're going to get mandarin, lemon, and bergamot for the citrus. You're going to get lavender, sage, and juniper for the aromatic. Then the florals are essentially lily of the valley, geranium, and jasmine. So it's a little hint of white floral. Very, very pleasant scent. I think the scent itself translates really well over time. The problem with this fragrance is performance. I get about 3.5 hours in terms of longevity. That's not great. I've compared it to a vintage bottle. It's at least double that. So yeah, you want to think twice about getting this one. I really do like the scent. Fragrance number 4 is Dior Eau Sauvage, and I mentioned fresh masculine earlier, and this fragrance had as much impact as any fragrance that ever existed on the fresh masculine feel, things like Cool Water, even things like Green Irish Tweed. This thing has quite a reputation, and at least in North America, it won't be too familiar to people. This is more for like collectors in North America. It really didn't hit the sort of general public, so that does help. However, this came out in 1966, and I was comparing it directly with Eternity yesterday. And there's no question, this has a barbershop quality. It's got lavender and oak moss. It's also got basil. It is a citrus scent, so you're going to get a lot of lemon and bergamot. But there's no avoiding the fact this is from 1966, so you do get kind of a dark barbershop scent. And so, yeah, that is going to be kind of old smelling. But in terms of it being watered down, not one iota. This is one of the strongest fragrances, fresh fragrances that I own. When I put it on, it just punches right out there. I mean, really good projection. I really notice it for like 3 or 4 hours, which is crazy. I get about 6 hours on skin in total. So this one is strong. Fragrance number 5 is Tommy Hilfiger's Tommy. And if you are a Gen X man, in the 1990s in North America, especially in the US, chances are you have a bottle of this. And I say that because I was never a fragrance collector at all, and yet I had a vintage bottle. This, I don't know when I bought it, but I've had this for the longest time. This thing was a phenomenon. So also I'm able to compare what you can get these days with the vintage bottle, despite the fact that this is spoiled a little bit. Unfortunately, this is about half as long lasting as this, but I still get 4 hours here. This is essentially a lot of apple, which is a nice, I love the apple here. Mint lavender, a lot of citrus, fresh, green fragrance, definitely a summer fragrance. You go back 30 years today, and everybody's wearing this scent. I still like it. I think this totally fits into the modern aesthetic. It's green, it's fresh, it's a little bit fruity. I mean, it's probably a little bit more aromatic than what people are wearing today, but not by a huge margin. It works really well in the summer. The problem with this one, and definitely it's a problem, is going to be familiarity. A lot of people are going to know this scent. If that's an issue for you, then you might not want to wear it, but it's a really nice scent, and it's good for summer. I don't care. Fragrance number 6 is Aramis by Aramis. And unlike Ted Danson of Cheers, who was the Aramis man back in the day, I am not an Aramis man, and I'm not a big fan of this fragrance. Not saying it's bad. I don't want anyone to take this the wrong way. I don't know much about this fragrance. It's from 1966. It's just not my thing. Supposedly, it's a chypre. I don't know too many of those. There's a lot of leather, patchouli, and oak moss in this. There's also aldehydes and a couple of resins, so I get a little bit of fruitiness. It's not that I don't like it. It's just I don't really understand it. I don't know where I would wear it. But the good news is this fragrance performs really well to me. I get 6 hours, no problem. It has been watered down, though, and that might be a big deal for those of you out there that really like Aramis and want to, buy a new bottle. Apparently from the 90s, oak moss was discontinued, like real oak moss. Now that's not a big deal if a fragrance has a little bit of oak moss, but this had a lot of oak moss. You discontinue oak moss, you've got to use like a synthetic version of it, and maybe that's why I don't like this. Maybe if I tried, an old-fashioned, like a true vintage version of this, maybe I would figure it out then. As of now, I don't get it. I do think this is quite different to what people wear these days, but at least the performance is there. So if you do like it, it is still worth a try because it's not watered down the way some of the other fragrances are, except for that oak moss. But that's not watered down. That's more losing some depth. Fragrance number 7 is Ralph Lauren's Polo Green. This is from 1978. And this is the fragrance that encouraged me to start collecting old school fragrances, because this was one of the very first fragrances that I ordered when I started collecting, and I put it on and I got shivers down my spine like something, like it was crazy. I absolutely adored this. The funny thing is, I had no idea about the name or the bottle. I just knew the smell. I knew the smell. I loved the smell. I liked it so much that I went out and I bought a bigger bottle, and it's half gone. I just absolutely love this stuff. It doesn't fit into what people are wearing today at all. Like at all. Not close. This is a chypre. It's got a very green, mossy smell to it. It's basically pine, some other aromatic notes. It's got leather, tobacco. It's got some woods in it as well. It's got some patchouli. Yeah, it's just nothing like what people are wearing these days. I don't care at all. I absolutely love it. Now, this bottle has been watered down, or at least thinned out. I'm not going to say it's entirely watered down because I do get 6 hours from both of these. No problem. So the performance and the projection is fine. What the problem is here is it's thinner. You're not going to get the same depth. Again, no oak moss in this. That might have affected it a little bit. It's a thinner scent. That's something that you're going to get with a lot of these. But yeah, if you like this back in the day, I do think it's still worth a purchase because it was worth a purchase for me. Fragrance number 8 is Old Spice. This is from 1938, and it absolutely boggles my mind how old this fragrance is. The fact that I picked this up from Walmart, or you can still get it pretty much everywhere, and yet people smelled like this when they were storming the beaches of Normandy in 1944. That just blows me away. Here's the weird thing. Aside from the carnation note, this is a warm, spicy floral fragrance that I think if it was created today, minus the carnation note, it would fit right in. It would have no problem. The problem with this fragrance is the fact that that carnation note, that spicy floral note, is so familiar, so associated with Old Spice that a lot of younger people associate it with grandpa or even great-grandpa. The concentration issue for this one is very, very difficult because there's so many different concentrations of it. And it's also hard to tell the performance because this is you just dab it on kind of thing. There's no spray here. The scent is a really nice scent. So let's start with the carnation, which is old-fashioned, but it is a floral, so you get a little bit of creaminess to it. And you know what? There's vanilla, tonka, and benzoin in this. Now, at much smaller levels than you're getting these days, but it's still noticeable. There's a little bit of sweetness here. And then the spiciness takes over. There's star anise, there's cinnamon, there's nutmeg. So there's a lot of spices. It's a very pleasant fragrance that, yeah, except for that carnation note, I think it would be totally wearable, but a lot of people are going to wear it anyway, and why not? It is good. Fragrance number 9 is Bijan Men by Bijan. This came out in 1987, and definitively, I have never seen a fragrance where the scent and the bottle were less aligned. When I first saw this bottle, I thought for sure it was for women. To me, this looks really feminine. And yet, if you try this, this is one of the most masculine, heavy leather, beast mode fragrances you are ever going to try. This thing is nasty, but nasty in a good way. I kind of don't mind it. It is very old school though, and we're starting to get into some of the fragrances that are going to be very difficult to wear and fit into the modern aesthetic. This is definitely one of them. So this has leather, sage, patchouli, and a ton of spices, including cloves. And when you put it on, it just... it's just super strong. It's really powerful. I like the spiciness of it, I got to admit, but there's a heavy leather note here. And so, yeah, it's going to be kind of different. As far as the performance, amazing. 8 hours, no problem. It is thinner. I tried a vintage bottle of this, much thicker and deeper, better performance as well, more like 12 to 16 hours, but you're still going to get 8 here. The only issue I think for you will be, maybe annoying a few young people, but that might be fun. Fragrance number 10 is Dior Fahrenheit. This is from 1988, and much like Polo Green, this is a fragrance where I had no idea about the bottle when I purchased it. I didn't recognize the name, and then I put it on, and I recognized the scent right away, and I got chills, and I still get chills. I absolutely love this. I know it's weird. I know it's medicinal and toxic and gas smelling. I absolutely love it. It's not something that you are going to be able to wear these days, though, because it's so outside the norm. So Green Irish Tweed was a lot of violet leaf with citrus. This was violet leaf with leather. Very different back in the day. However, it is a masculine fragrance. People loved it back then because it was at least masculine. They're not going to love this today. There's no sweetness in this at all. It's not, not super familiar. This is another one where I don't care. I love it. The performance is still really good. This fragrance formula has changed slightly. Apparently, though, and I've read this in a couple of different places, that gasoline smell is not something they've got rid of. It's something that they have amplified over time. Apparently, with the older bottles, you used to have to wait an hour before you got the gasoline smell. Now you get it right out of the bottle because people like it. I'm one of those people. Fragrance number 11 is Calvin Klein's Obsession from 1986, and this is actually a vintage bottle. Now, I purchased a newer bottle. I was able to compare them. I didn't need this much Obsession at this point. I got 300 fragrances, so I got rid of the bottle. Not because it was bad. It was about 4 hours, maybe 5. It was very inexpensive. You could overspray, and I could get almost 6. It was a little bit thinner than this. I get 8 hours with this, with just, one or two sprays. This thing is really, really strong, but it's had a chance to macerate for a long time. And the great thing about this is it totally fits into modern day aesthetic. There's absolutely nothing here that makes this smell old in any way. It's essentially a cinnamon and nutmeg fragrance. There's some vanilla, there's some amber, there's some myrrh, that's a dark resin. Yeah, it smells very much like what's going on today. It will smell a little bit thinner because a lot of the new vanilla fragrances come off quite thick, but that's just a technicality. I mean, yeah, totally can wear this. And I mean, this wasn't as massive as some of the fragrances I've talked about, so it's not like people are going to go around going, oh, that's Obsession. And in Europe, it'll be even better because this wasn't as big in Europe as it was in North America. But yeah, this one's good. Fragrance number 12, this is Brut from Fabergé. This is from 1973. And because of the name and the advertising associated with this fragrance, essentially that it was brutish and heavily masculine, I had no idea what to expect when I bought this bottle at Walmart. Now, this is not a scent that I recognized, but I was surprised at just how soft the fragrance was. It's got lavender and oak moss, but it's got a lot of anise. And anise is like a licoricey vibe. It's a little bit sweet. It's really pleasant. So this is a soft fragrance. I actually really like this. This is an eau de cologne. So I can't really compare what, the old Bruts were like, because again, you can get this as an eau de toilette, you can get this as an eau de cologne, you can get this as an aftershave. It depends on what you're going for. But the great thing about these bottles that you can just dab on and put as much as you like is you don't really have to worry. If you're not getting enough projection, if it's not lasting long enough, you just put a little bit more, especially when a lot of the bottles that come like this now, they're very inexpensive. But this is a very pleasant scent as well. Yeah, this one was struggle fitting in to the modern fragrances. It smells very barbershoppy, albeit a little bit on the soft side. You can't get away from that barbershop. That barbershop scent is associated with smelling old. So unfortunately, yeah, you will smell a little dated, but it is a surprising scent, or at least it was for me. Fragrance number 13 is Paloma Picasso's Minotaure. And this fragrance was a real revelation to me, and I really like it because this is from 1992, and this was a lot sweeter than I was expecting. Now, it's not as sweet as Le Male, but there's a definite amount of sweetness here. But what you get here is more sweet and sour. It's not unadulterated sweetness. It's like fruit, vanilla, and then a very sort of dark aromatic note with things like coriander and tarragon. So it comes off as like a sour smell, which is in contrast to the sweetness. But that really works for me. Now, this is a watered down bottle, and there's definitely a big difference between this and the vintage bottles. But again, I get about 5 hours here. This is more than good enough. I do know that the depth here is just not the same. So yeah, it's been compromised. I still really like this scent, and the scent profile here, 100%. I still think this one would work. Like, you could fit it in like a glove. There's enough vanilla, enough sweetness here where you'd have no problem wearing this out. You wouldn't smell old in the slightest. Fragrance number 14. This is Habit Rouge Eau de Parfum. This is from 2003. But I put this on here because this is very similar to the Eau de Toilette that came out in 1965. The only difference is the vanilla in this has been pumped up a little, but essentially you can get a rough idea as to what the DNA was like. Now, regardless of whether you're using this fragrance from 2003 or the 1965 original, it's not going to cut it in the fragrance community these days. It's just too old smelling. Just too much carnation here. There's leather. You've got some rose. You've also got some lemon. It's just a very old-fashioned DNA. Carnation. I mean, it's such a frustrating note because it's pleasant. It's spicy. It's not particularly masculine inherently. It's just the associations that people make with carnation. But this is a really nice fragrance. It's got really good performance. Just like any fragrance, if you like it, just wear it. But yeah, you're going to smell old with this one. Finally, I have Drakkar Noir. This is from 1982. Unfortunately, this one has been watered down quite considerably. It still smells really good, but it's about 3 hours. I was able to compare it to my vintage bottle that I had up until about 4 years ago, and yeah, there's no comparison. You can overspray. It's cheaper, not as cheap as some of the other fragrances that you get these days, but yeah, and I mean, it's a barbershop scent. There's lavender, oak moss, there's fir, there's pine, and a little bit of amber. The one thing that saves it a little bit, it's a little bit sweeter, I find, than some of the other barbershops out there. But yeah, it's just not familiar to a lot of people. It's going to smell. It's going to have that sort of older smell. But this is a fragrance I think a lot of people are going to wear anyway. It's will always be pleasant to me. But yeah, this was a bit of a different video. I mean, it's almost literally twice as many fragrances that I talk about on a regular basis. So a little bit longer than normal. But yeah, I mean, got a lot of these old fragrances sitting around. So I thought, why not go through them all? And I am a little bit of a fragrance historian, as you can probably tell. I like to study this stuff. Anyway, thanks for watching. If you watched this far, I appreciate it. Take care.